The thunder outside rolled in slowly, a deep trembling sound that made the windows hum. The dim light from the lamp wavered as if the storm had reached inside, softening the room into warm, wavering shadows. He shifted slightly closer on the couch, barely an inch, but enough for me to feel it. Neither of us spoke. Sometimes silence says things people are too afraid to say out loud. He leaned back, resting his head against the cushion, and his shoulder brushed mine, light, unintentional, yet impossibly electric. I should have moved. I should have created distance. But instead, I stayed still, letting the closeness linger longer than it should have. You seem tired, he said quietly. I am, I admitted. More than I realized. His gaze lowered, not in a way that objectified, but in a way that understood. He wasn't looking at me, he was reading me. Seeing the weight I carried, the loneliness I had been trying to hide. Sometimes, he murmured, people forget that even strong ones need someone to lean on. I closed my eyes for a moment, breathing in slowly, feeling the air shift with every word he spoke. Something inside me cracked, not a break, but a release. I didn't expect tonight to be like this, I whispered. And neither did I, he replied. But maybe it was meant to. The storm growled again, and the lights dipped before settling into a low, amber glow. The room felt suspended in time, like the world outside no longer existed. Just the two of us and a silence full of things I wasn't ready to admit. He reached out, gently placing his hand over mine, not gripping, not pulling, just resting there. Warm. Steady. Quiet. I should have taken my hand back. I didn't. Instead, my fingers shifted slightly beneath his, responding in a way I couldn't pretend was accidental. The touch wasn't bold. It wasn't intentional. It was soft, searching, honest. You're trembling, he said softly. I don't know what I'm doing, I breathed. He hesitated, not out of confusion, but out of respect. His hand remained still, allowing me to choose, to move, to retreat. He gave me space inside the closeness. You don't have to do anything, he whispered. I'm not here to take something from you. His voice was a warm reassurance. A reminder that he was a moment of comfort, not temptation, though he was becoming both. I turned my hand slowly, letting my palm face his. The contact deepened, but still gentle, still careful. A choice made in silence. A boundary crossed in emotion, not action. The space between our shoulders closed completely. Our breaths fell into rhythm. Our bodies didn't touch beyond that single join point, but the air around us thickened with the weight of everything unspoken. You shouldn't have come tonight, I said quietly, barely audible. I know, he replied. But you didn't ask me to leave. In that moment, the truth settled between us, dangerous, delicate, undeniable, and neither of us pulled away. If you want part 4, a final 500 words, just say part 4. The storm outside cracked again, hard enough that the lights flickered for a second. That second felt long enough for me to see everything differently, the shadows stretching across Adrian's face, the rigid set of his jaw, the tension in his shoulders. He was waiting for me to speak, waiting for a truth I wasn't ready to admit. I can't, I started, my voice trembling. I don't know what you want me to say. You do, he whispered. That's the problem. He took another step forward. My back touched the wall. I hadn't even realized I was moving. Every inch of the house suddenly felt too small, too warm, too charged with something unspoken. His eyes searched mine, hungry for clarity, desperate for confirmation, terrified of being wrong. I saw all of it flicker through him at once. Adrian, I murmured, please, slow down. His breath hitched, the first crack in his composure. I've been slowing down, he said, voice raw. For months. Pretending I don't see the way you look at me. Pretending I don't feel something every time you walk past me. Pretending we're just, what? Roommates. He shook his head. We're not. My heart slammed. But we can't. Why? He demanded. Tell me why. I opened my mouth, but the words tangled in my throat. He waited, eyes locked on mine, refusing to let me retreat into silence. Because it's complicated, I finally said. So am I. That's not what I mean. Then what do you mean? His voice wasn't angry, just aching. Because every time I try to walk away from this feeling, something drags me back. Today, something pushed me over the edge. That word, today, hit a nerve. What happened? I asked again, firmer. He looked away for the first time, jaw tightening. You're not going to like it. Tell me anyway. He ran his hand through his hair, pacing once before turning back to me. I came home early, he said quietly. Around 6. I didn't hear you. You weren't supposed to. A cold ripple ran through me. Why? He exhaled shakily. Because I saw something through your door. My stomach dropped. My door was open. A little. His voice dipped lower. You were sitting at your desk. Your headphones were on. My pulse spiked. What did you see? He hesitated. Then you were writing. The relief hit me so quickly I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. Writing? Adrian, why would that? You were writing about me. The words hit like ice water down my spine. I froze. He stepped closer again, eyes locked on mine. I didn't read everything. Just a few lines. But it was enough. I tried to breathe, but my lungs felt tight. What did you read? For a long moment, he didn't answer. Then, with brutal honesty, he said, you wrote that the house feels different when I'm home. I closed my eyes. You wrote that I make you nervous. My pulse thudded painfully, and you wrote, his voice cracked. You wrote that you don't know what to do with the way you feel around me. The air drained from my lungs. He had seen that. I pressed my back harder against the wall, heat rushing to my face, shame and panic swirling so violently that I couldn't even form a sentence. Say something, Adrian whispered. Please. But I couldn't. Every word I might have said contradicted itself in my head. Every truth felt like a lie. Every lie felt too thin to hold. He took another step, close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating off him, close enough that his breath brushed my cheek when he exhaled. I'm not mad, he murmured. I'm not judging you. I needed to know if I was losing my mind. If I was the only one feeling this. I swallowed hard. I didn't mean for you to see that. I know. I wasn't going to say anything. I know. And I didn't want to make things weird. His gaze softened, just barely. They've been weird. Since the day I moved in. He reached out slowly, so slowly I could have stepped away if I wanted to, but I didn't. He didn't touch me. His hand hovered near my arm, close enough to feel but not close enough to be real. That almost touch set my entire body on edge. I'm scared, I whispered. His voice dropped to a rasp. Of me? No, I breathed. Of myself. Silence, heavy, suffocating, unavoidable. Adrian lowered his hand but didn't back away. His body was still too close, his presence too loud. Tell me what you're scared of, he said softly. Everything, every feeling, every thought, every possibility, but all I said was you. He inhaled sharply. Why? Because you see too much, I whispered, my voice trembling. And I feel too much. And if I say the wrong thing, if I let myself say what I actually feel, everything will break. You'll leave. Or I'll push you away. And I don't want either of those things. His eyes softened with something like pain. You think I want to leave? You might. I won't. You don't know that. Yes, he said firmly, I do. My breath trembled. Another crack of thunder shook the windows. Adrian leaned in closer, not touching, but close enough that the air between us felt electric, dangerous, on the verge of breaking open. I want one thing, he whispered. One truth. Just one. My chest tightened again. I don't, he cut me off gently. Do you feel something for me? The question sliced straight through my defenses. My throat tightened. My palms went hot. My heart felt like it was trying to escape my ribs. My voice failed. He watched me with devastating intensity. Just nod, he whispered. If you can't say it. My whole body shook. I closed my eyes and I nodded. Not big, not confident, just a small, terrified, honest nod. Adrian's breath caught, sharp, quiet, like he'd been punched. When I opened my eyes again, everything in his expression had changed. Something had cracked open inside him. Something fierce. Something relieved. Something dangerous. He lifted a hand again, slow, hesitant, trembling, and this time he didn't stop halfway. His fingers brushed my wrist, barely, but that single touch felt like the world splitting in two. I gasped, not from fear, not from shock, but from the weight of everything that touch implied. The storm outside roared louder. Inside, the house was silent, too silent. His hand lingered there, gentle, unsure, careful. Tell me to stop, he whispered. I didn't. I couldn't, and that was the moment. Everything changed forever. If you want, I can now continue with the falling action, 600 to 800 words. Oh, the conclusion cliffhanger, 400 to 600 words. Which one should I write next? Night has a strange way of making the world feel larger than it really is. My house wasn't big, just 2 small rooms and a narrow hallway, but that night it felt like an empty shell, echoing with a silence I couldn't escape. The ceiling fan hummed softly above me, rotating with the same slow tiredness I felt inside my chest. I had been alone before, but tonight the loneliness didn't just sit beside me, it wrapped itself around me like a heavy blanket I couldn't shake off. My partner had been distant for weeks. Calls turned into short messages into delays, and delays into nothing at all. I tried to convince myself that it was just stress, just temporary. But deep down, a sinking truth kept whispering that something was fading between us. Something important. I sat in the dim glowing light of the table lamp, scrolling aimlessly through my phone, rereading old conversations that used to feel alive. Now they felt like someone else's memories. The electricity flickered twice, making the shadows stretch across the walls like long, quiet figures watching me. I breathed out slowly, feeling the ache settle deeper, and then 3 soft knocks at the door. I froze. No one visited me at night. No one even had a reason to. The knocks came again, gentler this time. Curious but cautious, I rose from the couch and moved toward the door. My hand hovered over the handle for a moment, as if I needed to prepare myself for whatever waited on the other side. When I opened it, there he was, the African boy who lived near my house, tall, calm-eyed, and always carrying a quiet kind of warmth around him. I didn't know him well. Just passing greetings, brief smiles, occasional small talk when we crossed paths near the gate. He was the kind of neighbor who moved with a gentle confidence, like nothing ever truly disturbed him. Tonight, though, he looked slightly concerned. Are you okay? He asked, his voice low, steady. Your lights were flickering. I thought something might be wrong. I blinked, caught off guard by the simple kindness in his tone. I'm fine. I think. Probably just a power issue. He glanced past me into the dim-lit room. Mind if I check? I know a bit about electrical stuff. Normally, I would have declined. I wasn't used to letting anyone into my space, especially at night. But something about the quiet sincerity in his expression made me step aside without thinking. He entered slowly, respectfully, his footsteps soft on the floor. The warm glow from the lamp behind him cast a shadow that stretched long across the room, giving everything a strange, cinematic stillness. I didn't want to bother you, he said, kneeling near the fuse box, but I just felt like I should come. I stood behind him, watching the silhouette of his shoulders in the soft light, feeling an odd shift in the air. A presence I hadn't felt in a long time. As he worked, the house didn't feel so empty anymore, and without meaning to, I whispered to myself, why does his presence feel like the thing I've been missing? If you want part 2, 500 words, just say part 2. The lights flickered again just as he stood up, and for a moment the room fell into near darkness, lit only by the faint glow from my phone on the table. Shadows folded around us, soft and warm, not frightening but strangely intimate. He paused, looking around with a calmness I envied. Looks like a loose connection, he said softly. Nothing dangerous, just annoying. I nodded, though my attention wasn't on the electricity anymore. It was on how different the room felt with someone else in it. How different I felt. The silence between us wasn't uncomfortable like the silence I had been suffocating in all night. This one felt alive. A quiet that understood rather than judged. I hope I didn't intrude, he added, wiping his hands on his pants. You didn't, I said quickly. Actually. I'm glad you came. He glanced at me, and in the dim light, I couldn't see his expression clearly, but I felt something shift in the air. Something unspoken. He walked toward the table lamp and tapped it lightly, watching it flicker then settle into a soft glow. The light traced a silhouette of his profile onto the wall, outlining calmness, gentleness, and a quiet strength. I found myself speaking without planning to. It's been an odd few weeks, I murmured. I don't really talk to anyone about it. You don't need to, he said. But if you want to, I'm here. Those 3 words, I'm here, hit deeper than I expected. My partner hadn't said anything close to that in months. Instead, everything felt rushed, distant, halfway there. I swallowed the tightness forming in my throat. We sat down on opposite ends of the small couch, a modest stretch of space between us. The kind of space that feels larger than it is when your emotions are unsettled. He rested his forearms on his knees, leaning slightly forward. What's been bothering you? He asked gently. I hesitated. But the quiet in his tone had a strange safety in it. I just feel alone, I said finally. Even when I'm not. He didn't interrupt. He didn't give advice. He didn't rush to fill the silence. He just listened. Really listened. And something about that unlocked a piece of me I didn't realize I'd kept locked for so long. You deserve to feel seen, he said. His words weren't romantic. They weren't flirtatious. They were simply true. And sometimes the truth is more dangerous than anything else. I felt my fingers brush against his when I reached for the phone lying between us. A small, accidental touch. But the moment his skin grazed mine, a spark, subtle but unmistakable, moved through me. I pulled back slightly, unsure if the touch had lingered too long, or if it was just my imagination, but he didn't move away, and suddenly, the room felt smaller, warmer, quieter. Attention settled between us, not bold, not rushed, but undeniably real. I looked at him, wondering if he felt it too. He looked back, and in the stillness, I knew the answer without a single word being spoken. If you want part 3, just say, part 3.